Well, I'm glad you're here today, and today is the continuation of what I started last week, which is called More Great Ways to Study. And we're going to talk about these 4 methods today. These 3 have to do with your textbook. This one has to do with what it says, which is flashcards. And so what I want to start with is this 2-1-0 method. Almost no students I've ever talked to actually have heard of this or ever tried it, but I'm hoping that after I teach this to you, at least in the spring when you start your new classes, you get your new textbooks, you'll give this a try, because this is a very easy way to study. It gives you a lot of good feedback or information that you can use for further study. So let me start by drawing something. And again, I encourage you to take notes on some of these things. You're going to get a couple of handouts in a few minutes that go with a couple of them. But again, sometimes teachers want you to show them notes you took or whatever. So I want to make sure that you do this in a way that gives you full credit. Okay. If I ask you, what is this a picture of? I don't think anybody here would be able to figure it out, and that's because I'm not very artistic. But it's actually a book. People have said a window, a door, and all that. It's a book. I want you to imagine the 2 pages of a textbook open side by side. And everybody here knows what textbooks tend to look like, but I just want you to imagine this. You have a bold print heading here, and then you have another one over here. So all this information right here is related to that heading. So everybody knows that. That's pretty simple. But here's how this 2-1-0 method works and why it's so easy and helpful. When you open up your textbook, you're sitting in the library, you're sitting at home. I guess it works a little better at home. You sit for a few minutes and you read from one heading to the next. And then when you get to this next heading, instead of just continuing to read, you stop everything you're doing and you read the heading that you just got through reading the section about out loud, and then you either close your eyes, cover the book, look away, whatever, and out loud try to explain everything that you just read the last couple minutes, almost like you're teaching it to somebody who had never read it. When you're done, open your eyes or take your hands away and skim through and look and see how you did. And you're actually going to give yourself a score of 2 or 1 or 0. That's why it's called the 2-1-0 method. A score of 2 indicates that, in your opinion, you did a good job at explaining that material. A 1 stands for okay. And when I used to do this as a student, I always used to think of this one as kind of like this. 50-50, which means that I remembered some of the main points, but I also forgot some. So it's okay, but not that great. What would a 0 be then? Yeah, and I like to use a word for this. Look, you're the only human being who ever is seeing this, because you're doing this on your own, so you might as well be really honest. So this is my favorite word for a 0. And that's terrible. Okay, and so I want to explain one more thing about this before I get into the next aspect of it. I've had some students who have tried this before, just the way I explained, but they told me that when they did that with each heading in their chapter, they looked back at the end and they had no 2s. None.